Welcome to the Colosseum, your hub of health and wellness news and information.
Welcome back to the show, guys. This will be episode 2, and we have several things to get into today regarding Whoop. Doing a sleep study over a course of a year. We have sleep rebound after sleep restriction linked to reduce mortality risk. We have a deep dive on David Sinclair's longevity therapies, and then we have some athletes and race segments, and we're going to get into some gut training regarding sugar. So we have a lot to get into. Overall, though, I just want to express like my extreme gratitude for
Forever.
everyone showing their support on episode 1 and like reaching out and just giving us feedback in general. It was super cool. And I feel like in this moment, like we have really created a vessel for us to be extremely creative. And it gives us like this like major drive to make sure that we're providing um, the best content and like value to people that are interested in this content. And
Hmm.
so like we obviously going into it, we knew like some people wouldn't be interested in health and wellness and some people are. And for the people that are interested in it, we're going to do our best to like really provide an excellent amount of value. Again, the first week went extremely well and we have so many more implementations that we plan on doing. And so yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better week. It was awesome.
Seriously, yeah. I mean, again, like the feedback is huge. Like,
Mhm.
drop comments, like tell us what you guys would love to see. Because
Mhm.
if you're interacting with us and we include things in these episodes, like it's gonna just make it better for you guys.
Yeah.
And that's what we want is to make a little community and
100%.
just
Yeah.
have fun with it.
Yeah, because we do so much research in general, and we can really tailor an episode to what you guys are interested in. And we're
Hmm.
definitely working on aspects where you guys can tap in. We have comment sections on our Spotify, I believe, and then on
Yes.
obviously on YouTube. But you can even direct message us anywhere, and even the main account if you would rather do that, and
Right.
kind of like tell us what you want to see. Put in your feedback on some of the Instagram stories and some questions we ask because a lot of that stuff does help us get a better tailored episode. And
Okay.
again, we're always trying to improve the show. So and we're going to. It's going to be a week by week thing. So we're extremely excited, extremely thankful. And we do have a much bigger mission. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah. Um, got the LaCroix. So I
Okay, here
got
we
my
go.
yeah. I got the berry this time.
Nice, dude.
What you
So
got?
I got the tried and true cherry limeade.
Ooh, that one's solid. That one is
All
solid.
right, listen, folks.
Ooh, that was
I
clean.
already know what this is gonna taste like. This is probably like a 9.5 out of 10. It doesn't even make sense. And I remember I would bring these around people, and they would actually roast me. They said, "Dude, these taste like that you just have like an aroma in the room, and you're not actually getting the true flavor." And you may be right,
Well,
but
you're actually right on the money, because it's just essence, is
well,
all
yeah,
these LaCroix
that's what
are.
it tastes like. But
Yeah,
it's enough. Sorry, it's enough to get me going. I'll tell you that.
yeah. So I'll give you a rating on this one. This one's the berry. I'm not too excited about this one.
So it's
This
it's
one,
very muted, isn't it?
it's very muted. The cherry lime that you have, that one is
I
like
think
it. The flavor's a lot more there.
what really does it is the lime, like the cherry, like sweet, and then boom, brings it in with the lime. And I actually have a full can of lime right here.
He's
Yeah.
doubled up with the LaCroix. Oh man. All right, let's get into episode 2 of the podcast. So first, we're going to be starting off with our first quick hit from Business Wire, talking about Neutonic raises 6 million at a $6 million valuation to accelerate
60
global
million.
expansion. Sorry, 60 million valuation to accelerate global expansion across retail and new markets.
Yeah, Neutonic was founded by Chris Williamson of Modern Wisdom, so I'm sure most of you know him. Uh,
Yeah.
they have currently sold over 7.5 million cans since launch, on track to exceed 25 million in revenue this year. And Newtonic is a zero sugar nootropic energy drink. It actually contains 500 milligrams of cognizin cetocholine,
Hmm.
400 milligrams of rhodiola rosea, 400 milligrams of L-theanine, 200 milligrams of Panax ginseng, and 120 milligrams of caffeine. and some B vitamins, of course. But what's really important is like this is it's a lower caffeine energy drink, but
Hmm.
it has its ample amount of nootropics. So like L-theanine really remains like the tried and true supplement for focus, and then
Yeah.
um, cognizin
Yeah,
acetylcholine
cognizant that seems to
is
have like
is
some good
very
benefits.
expensive to put in
Oh, is
energy
it really?
drinks. Yeah, so it's that's why you see like Bum Energy, for example.
Hmm.
They have a similar, but they don't have L-theanine, I don't think. But
Mm.
it actually costs more to put in your product because you can now enter different claims. So you could say it can improve brain health, it can improve focus, and like there's certain taglines where you can be safe with saying if it's only caffeine, it can improve something. But then
Yeah.
when you introduce this product, you can actually add a whole new tagline because it is science backed. So then they add another premium. So that's why with these cans you will see it be a little bit more expensive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 400 milligrams of L-theanine, that's a solid dose because you take 200 just as a side supplement, correct?
Yeah, so like every morning I'll drink my coffee and then I'll pair it with 200 milligrams of L-theanine, and I'm pretty locked in. Like I noticed a big difference in like when I first started taking it, I just felt so zoned in, and it what it's designed to do is it apparently will you'll get these like caffeine, spikes, and you'll have a lot of energy. Apparently, it's supposed to kind of make that at like a homeostasis level, but
Hmm.
it'll still make you more focused, like a calm focus is what they clarify it
Yeah,
as. So, I mean, I feel that way. I think it's great. Right now, I'm taking 400 milligrams. So
yeah,
after I saw this, I was like, let me try it out.
for sure. Yeah, actually, so I tried Alpha Brain, which if you guys don't know, I believe it's from Onnit, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it does have L-theanine in it, but
Hmm.
the only thing I don't like about the Onnit is they they list the blend.
Yeah.
And the L-theanine is in the blend. So it doesn't
Yeah.
give you, and if you look up the dosaging, like you can't find it. It's kind of like locked behind like a door almost. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Andrew Huberman does say like to be careful with the blends because you can't ever prove like what amount is actually in it, which means
Yeah,
they could be underdosing and selling it. And it's like, well, it has it in it, but it could have like 1 milligram. We don't really know.
yeah. So I might switch to just L-theanine now.
Yeah.
Um, and then also like creatine too. That's a huge nootropic
Yeah.
we're seeing right now. Like,
Well, yeah, because like the recent study came out, right, where it was like 5 milligrams is great for muscle, but
mhm,
once you pass the 5 milligram threshold, it like does this job for the muscle, but
yeah,
then the excess creatine it will actually enter the blood brain barrier and pass and get into the brain.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this
It's
is
like,
shown. Go ahead.
yeah. So I think Dr. Ron Patrick was saying anywhere between 10 to, they even saw like some really huge improvements in 20 milligrams,
Yeah.
which is a
See.
lot of creatine.
Yeah, it is. I take
But
10 a day,
yeah,
and I feel amazing. Like building this whole thing and getting stuff pushed out, you don't
exactly.
get to sleep as much. So like if I'm on like 5 hours of sleep and I take 10 grams of creatine, which I do daily, I really don't
Mm.
feel tired at all.
Yeah,
And a part of that could be like the energy, like the mission. It's so fun.
yeah. Just being
I
so
it's
excited to like work on this stuff.
exactly, it's a creative vessel. So like I'm always thinking about like something new.
Right.
And so that alone could be exciting and
Yeah.
probably a reason why I don't feel as tired, which is, I mean, I'm thankful to have that feeling.
Yeah, 100%. Me too. Yeah, I love coming home every day and just start working on content for you guys. So,
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah. Our next topic, let me share this tab here. A Whoop study finds 1 to 2 weeks of sleep data isn't enough to measure sleep variability. So Whoop analyzed 3.7 million nights of sleep for more than 10,000 members and found that reliable sleep variability measurement requires about 41 to 65 consecutive nights, or roughly 6 to 10 weeks of data. For context, sleep variability means how much your sleep timing and duration change night to night. These participants wore Whoop for an average of 355 nights with a 97.9% adherence. The research was done with the University of North Texas, Monash, I believe, Monash University, and Brigham and Women's Hospital.
Yeah, I mean, the value, so like, obviously it's, checking last night's score.
Hmm.
is not just like its sole thing, and we're actually going to get into that in
Right.
another quick hit.
Hmm.
But it's like building that habit and getting that long-term data is really where you can see patterns come to life where they are actionable patterns. Like until you get that data, there's really no point in paying too much attention to these small amounts of data that you have currently. Until you really get into the at least 1 year mark, you can actually see some results that make sense.
Yeah, because it needs data to assess what is actually happening to you. Because, well, I mean, even Andrew Huberman actually talked about this in terms of he recommends checking it rather every weekend because a lot of people like they just see it the morning they wake up and they're like, oh, wow, my day's ruined. Like I got terrible sleep. My sleep score says you're going to feel like, you know, you have no energy and your body battery's going to be low.
Hmm.
But, at the same time, like this is wearable tech and it's like this stuff's still in development. It's predictive. So it's not like this should determine how you feel for the rest of your entire day, in my opinion.
Well, with that being said, let's get into the
Oh
discussion here.
yeah, yeah. It's right into the actual next quick hit, which is I saw this comment from Will Jeffries on X, just saying that he used the Whoop for over a year until he realized that operating on vibes was more satisfying than catering to a device on my wrist that scolded me for having 2 glasses of wine. This is just a side comment from Ashtagupa, who was also talking about kind of the same thing. Um, which again, it's just like I don't think you should hyper fixate on the morning of like recommendation or what it tells you about your sleep because again, it's predictive and some of these wearables aren't super accurate. I mean, now a lot of them are good at telling like when you're in bed or when you're going to sleep. Like, I mean, it's anywhere between like 90% tile range. But in terms of the actual sleep stages, a lot of these hit the 70 to 60% mark. So it's just
And you're
like,
referring to that report that came out what last week? They tested
yes.
all the Garmin, the Apple Watch, the Whoop, the
Mm-hmm.
Aura. Yeah, and like to your point, and to this post, it's like you shouldn't be that reliant on it. Like you definitely need to be in tune with your body, like no matter
Right.
what. And I found
Exactly.
like my intuition with my body itself, it's pretty aligned with my tracker. Like if it shows my HRVs off, um, without even considering HRV, because I don't really look into these metrics that often. I'll check
Right.
my sleep score, but like I know I slept like crap anyways. And
Yeah.
it's like it's not really gonna affect me because for me, what you tell yourself in your brain is like what is actually gonna happen. Like that's how your body's gonna react to it. So I
Mm-hmm.
never say like the first thing in the morning, like I got bad sleep. Like I don't even think about that because I don't want my brain to say, okay, well, let's do this based on your lack of sleep. And then I have a barrier in performance in terms of executing at my job or doing anything in life because
Right.
my brain thinks, well, it's okay. I'm tired. Well, like, no, we're not going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
And so, like the HRV stuff, I never check it. It's like at the very bottom of my watch and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will be feeling a type of way, and I'm like, dang, like I do feel like a little bit more, I guess, like sore or like maybe I'm aching here and there, and I'll just check it like out of curiosity, and it will be like out of sync, and then you can kind of feel like, yeah, I have been off the rails a little bit, like I have been like
Yes.
maybe pushing it too hard here, lack of sleep, and then you just kind of like you use it as a guide, and then you kind of just get back on track, and then you ignore everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No. That's I completely agree with you on that. And there's so many people like saying that yeah, like it's affected my days, like my
Yeah,
weeks,
that's
like
so weird to
it's
me.
so weird to me too. And I just don't understand it. Like you shouldn't solely rely on the information from your wearable because you are your body. I mean, you are in your body. You know how
Right.
you feel.
Hmm.
I mean, this data, like you said, is a guide
Hmm.
rather than something you should just be like, oh, it says this, I am this.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely important to like take all of this information with a grain of salt. Like it's super helpful and it's great, but your body because we're still finding studies and say like even when I remember listening to a podcast and they were talking about EMFs and blue light flicker
Hmm.
in specific,
Yeah.
like LED. And if you like walk into a room and you'll begin to get a headache And people for like 50 years were complaining about these overhead LEDs.
Yeah.
And they finally went in and did a test for them. They're like, yeah, for some reason when I go in and I get a headache, and even now, like when you're wearing AirPods, maybe if you wear them for longer than an hour or 2 hours, like me, I started experiencing headaches,
Mm,
and it's like without even knowing the information, your body is in tune saying like something isn't right here.
right.
And so they did the test with the overhead lights, and sure enough, it's the LED flicker where it flickers so fast and you can't really see it, but your apparently your not your reticles, your retinas will pick it up
Yeah.
and it'll process it. And what it does is it's basically like a strobe light nonstop. And so it's like a subconscious strobe light, and it makes your muscles tighter, your head have to process all that, light coming in at a, rapid
Oh,
pace,
wow.
and then it
Yeah.
causes headaches. So they did a test on that, and like the body was already saying, look, something isn't right here. And then
Mhm.
so like we're seeing so many studies say, okay, well, you're feeling this way. Let's actually look into it. And then the body's right. It's not that the studies are right, the body's right. We're just
Mhm.
following the body. And so
Isn't
we
it
need to
crazy?
keep that
Like,
same mindset with wearables as well.
yeah. It's like crazy because, yeah, with all this wearable technology, it's like people are kind of losing that in touch aspect of like being within your body and knowing your body.
Hmm.
And that's important. Like, I mean, even I have lost touch with that sometimes, but I think like we need to see because we're also seeing the whole analog movement. So
Yeah.
like if that comes out, like hopefully we can see if you could be more in tune with your body, then you can see like things around you actually affect you more than you think,
Yeah.
you know?
I saw a big wave. It was on X talking about like relationships and building relationships while walking, and
Mm,
just like walking with one another and just having that full conversational flow.
yeah.
And like I'm a big believer in walks already, and just having like a partner, a friend, whatever it may be, on the walk with you, and like the brainstorming sessions are amazing, and just the deep conversations you allow yourself to get into based on
Yeah.
being present with one another, because there's no phone. Like oftentimes it's inconvenient to be on your phone while you're walking. And
I
so
mean,
you're just in tune with one another. And I think, people are really starting to see like there is a connection between like the analog living and really being connected to one another in conversation.
hmm,
And that's one thing I take pretty seriously, is like just connecting with people in general.
yeah, it's important. It's super important. You don't realize like how much being connected with others is affective to your health.
Yeah.
Like it's actually like one of the eight like pillars of health. It's so
Yeah.
important.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny you actually mentioned the EMS because I actually found this tweet from Dr. Amos. I say tweet. It's I guess what do you call it now? Is it still considered a tweet? Or because it's
Yeah, I don't
called
even
X.
know.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it a tweet just
An
because it's easier
X
that way.
post,
An
it's
X
like, it
post.
doesn't sound as great.
Yeah, talking about blue light and EMS from screens are damaging to the brain and especially in children. So he was commenting on this other post from Died Suddenly, and this is saying that this MRI study found on young kids is genuinely alarming. Researchers scanned the brains of 60 children aged 3 to 5 and discovered that interactive screen time is literally stripping away white matter in developing brains. The study found that just 2 hours a day can cause weaker neural connections, poor language skills, and delayed literacy. Neuroscientist and father professor Mike Nagel was shocked. Wow, I was not expecting to see anything like that. We're physically altering children's brains before they even start school. This is interesting because it made me think like, you know, Australia may be onto something,
Yeah.
you know.
Didn't they ban social media?
Yeah, they banned social media up until you're like 16, I
Yeah.
believe.
And so, like, I always have this theory. I would love to have, the only issue is like America's so capital based. Like
Mm,
it's got it. The capitalism can't stop. And
yeah.
I just want like the United States to shut down everything, like internet, social media, for 1 week, and like have a community based movement. And I would love to see like what happens, even if it's like one one weekend a month,
Hmm.
or like 1 week a month, or 1 week every 6, something like that.
Yeah.
And just to like really, because also it's like you don't really start habits until you just try it once. Once you try it, you're like, oh, I like that feeling.
Yeah.
And
I
some
feel way
people,
better.
yeah, and some people will never even try. And it's like, in the nicest way possible. Sometimes you have to force people.
Yeah.
And if you can force them to see what life is actually like, because believe it or not, like some people don't know like what life is like outside of the screen,
Yeah. It's
outside of like
crazy.
outside of like what people think of them on social media, or how many likes they get, all this stuff. And if you show them, what you realize is it is, especially the younger generation, you realize that they do have a open mind to it, but they've never been shown,
Yeah.
because the older generation, the adults, the caretakers have been lazy
Hmm.
because they don't want to put too much time into it and support the youth. And that's one thing that we are seeing is, believe it or not, man, we have some lazy adults, some absolute lazy
Dude,
people.
no,
And
you 100% right.
it is our duty, if you have a younger child, person, anyone, to show them the other aspects of life in an approachable manner, and spend time with them and understanding how they think,
Hmm.
and showing them a perspective that makes sense. Because if not, they're never going to know. And if you're not teaching them, they're never going to know. They're
Right.
going to have a hard time finding out what is right or wrong. The thing is, share your perspective to everyone, because it could be they could not really enjoy your perspective. They could love it. It doesn't really matter. You're all just collecting perspectives, and then you will filter all that in, and then you will say, okay, this is actually what I think about life. Here's my viewpoint.
Right.
And it's like that's why everyone should share what they think and like have a voice, because it helps everyone in the end.
Yeah. Like for example, like nowadays, like in my opinion, there's a big lack of mentors in terms of like for young people.
Yep.
And it was a really popular thing a long time ago. I mean, it was like you would have a mentor who would teach you how to go through life, like what mistakes they made,
Hmm.
things like that. But nowadays you don't see that, and it's like because adults are just lazy and they just
Yeah, you
don't want to
definitely don't see
share.
it as common. Like
Yeah,
it's not as common as it used to be.
no,
And
it's
it
not.
should be. And
Really
we
should.
are that kind of next frontier. And we have to kind of, step forward and make a change. I mean, it's like
Exactly.
we have an example of what not to do. And as many people older than us can say like our generation is lazy, or whatever. Well, we definitely see a perspective that was we were missing a lot from the older generation, in terms of them providing value. And it's
Hmm.
this isn't even talking about like your general, like like your parents or anything like that. It's like the general population. When you work with these
Right.
people, you realize like they don't really care to help you. And
Yeah.
it's very strange to remove yourself as a mentor because you're lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very selfish or it's a more selfish society nowadays, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wish I agree with you. I wish it was more community driven. And that's kind of one of our goals with
That's, yeah,
this.
one of our main missions. And we're gonna get there. It's just gonna take time.
Yeah. But we'll go to Gary Brecka's next post. Um, he was saying on X here, the most impactful health strategies aren't new, they're foundational. Consistent sleep, daily movement, morning light exposure, and adequate protein intake all work by aligning with your biology, not overriding it. In a world focused on optimization, the real opportunity is often in execution. Simple habits done consistently, that's what drives measurable change. Um, this is actually a big movement we're just seeing in general is like easy, easier, consistent, good habits being integrated into people's lives. Because before it was like, the whole winter lock in and like you had to like be super like, straight.
Dialed
And
in.
now, yeah, like dialed in. But now you're kind of seeing like a more, I guess, would you say a holistic point of view on it?
I would say like it's very similar to my point earlier. In order to make people change at a mass level, you
Mm,
have to guide them. And it has to
mm,
be a guide where it's very easy to enter into.
yeah.
And with these people providing very simple, actionable information, it makes it easier to step into the world
Right.
of that, aspect. And when you get there, you realize that you see great results and then you begin to get obsessed with it because
Exactly.
everything improves your relationships, your community, your career, everything starts to bleed into one another. And then you're hooked. And then you start
Yeah.
looking more into it. And then you start affecting others around you because you saw a change in yourself and you believe others can change. And
Yeah.
that's how you start the spread.
100%. Yeah. It's actually funny. Like, I feel like that really happened with both of us,
Yeah.
right? Like, my whole fitness journey really started like way back in like 2020 during the COVID years. And like, I was introduced to it and I was like kind of like getting into it. But the more I was like getting into bodybuilding, I
Hmm.
was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, these dudes are huge. Like, let me get huge, dude. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
get
yeah.
huge.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then like, yeah, you just start diving deeper into all these people in the space and you're like,
Hmm.
wow, this is so, and you're gaining so much information.
Yeah.
And then you get so excited to like go to the gym. Then you're like, oh, I just want to do this all the time. So like you start going more and more. And yeah, it's just you start somewhere. I think it's just making it easier to start is really important, especially nowadays with everything being so easy for people
Yeah,
to
it's
start.
funny because you mentioned COVID, and COVID was a big one for me. Where it's like I've always been extremely regimented about my workout. I mean, since geez, maybe sophomore year. I
Mm,
mean, I would be in the gym, 3 a.m. after a party or something,
yeah.
after work, 11 p.m. It didn't matter. I was always in the gym.
Hmm.
I was always working out. And just before COVID, I started reading this book from Aubrey Marcus, which is the owner of Onnit. And he created Onnit, and he had this whole functional training approach, whole food diet approach. And this was in like late 2019, like
Mm.
really just before COVID hit.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and I started to really get into his methodology, and I bought pretty much every single Onnit kettlebell. And these aren't even sold anymore, and now they're like super hard to get. And so I had this like massive like kettlebell training program, and I was eating like whole foods, butter. And this was again early 2020, like then
Yeah,
COVID
yeah,
hit,
yeah.
and I had all the material to just go all in. And so I was reading the book, and the book is regimented. It's called Own the Day, Own Your Life. And it goes from like sleep, your morning, your breakfast, your workout, napping, all this extra relationships, and it's like a whole layout. And
Yeah.
I got so inspired, cold exposure, breath work. And it was like a book, an all-in-one book before like anything hit the mass market. And I was super interested in this, and I've always leaned more towards the functional fitness. And then I met you guys. You guys were doing a lot of bodybuilding.
Hmm.
I kind of ventured into it. But if you notice, like I was never all in on the bodybuilding. I always
No,
kept it
no, no.
somewhat functional.
Yeah.
And now like I'm really in this area where like I know it's just going to be functional.
Hmm.
Functional, like I'm pretty much hitting everything, like VO2 max, functional training, endurance, everything at once.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually did a little 4x4 this morning
Yeah,
on the
today was a solid. So far, it's been great. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
woke up early this morning, hit a 3x5 bench press, went to a 4x4, which is 4 minutes off, 4 minutes on, or 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, assault bike, and that
Yes.
will, you want to go at the highest intensity possible for 4 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's a burner. I mean, you're just
Oh yeah.
suffering. Each of us would
Dude.
suffer for 4 minutes and watch each other suffer,
Yeah,
and then
that's
we'd
all
be
it
like,
was.
"You have 2 minutes left, man," and
Yeah.
I'm just like looking down, closing my eyes, and it just
Like,
burns. It's
yeah,
terrible.
I was just like, oh, all right, man, keep
Yeah.
going, man. Stay in that groove, man. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
exactly. That was a
Yeah.
great little tagline though. He
Yeah.
was like he was like, "Stay in that groove," and I'm like, "Damn, he's right. Stay in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
groove." So we
Yeah.
we we stuck with that tagline the rest of the workout.
For sure. It's funny
So
to think like we've literally been through every phase of
yeah,
like fitness, you know?
hmm it's
Bodybuilding,
great.
running,
I'm just
Hyrox. I love it.
obsessed with That's true. Yeah, high rocks, running, bodybuilding, strength training. Yeah, I get obsessed with it. I love every aspect of it. I love every little like angle you can take to improve. Like
Right.
at one point, actually, we didn't even mention this, but like we were running 50 miles a week,
Yeah.
and we were super obsessed with running. Definitely dialed it back. I mean, we really run here and there, but not too much anymore. It's more just functional overall.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was just because, I mean, running that much, but then also having like a full-time job during the day, it was just really like stressful on the body. And like, I mean, my HRV was like tanked
Yeah,
constantly
yeah,
quite a bit. And so I just wasn't really seeing any meaningful changes. So,
yeah. It's
t-
unique because like when you're performing, but to that point, when you're performing, you're not really interested in your HRV. You have a goal in mind. You were trying to compete well at a
exactly.
marathon, and like you have to understand like your cortisol is going to be elevated, your HRV is going to be great. Your
Yeah.
heart rate should be pretty solid, but everything else, like you have to understand, that's not really the greatest path for health. It's a small signal to the body. If you go overboard with anything, if you do too much strength training, if you do too much running, if you do too much VO2 max work, then you're going
Mhm.
to raise your cortisol. The main goal is to keep your cortisol at a normal level to where you're not sitting at a elevated cortisol level throughout the day.
Yeah.
Naturally, your cortisol will spike in the morning. It will naturally go down throughout the evening. But it's extremely important that you're not just sitting super high because if you're sitting super high cortisol levels, it's going to be impossible for you to lose fat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to make that distinction too, is like it will naturally rise,
Hmm.
but then it needs to be sitting at a normal level rather than always at a high level,
Right.
because that's where you start seeing the negative side effects.
Hmm.
But first headline hitting the timeline: acute sleep rebound following sleep restriction is associated with reduced mortality risk.
Yeah, a new Nature Communication study found that people who experience sleep restriction but then get rebound sleep may avoid some of the increased mortality risk seen in people who stay sleep restricted. Researchers analyzed 85,000 UK biobank participants using accelerometer derived sleep data and followed them for a median of 8 years. People with sleep restriction without rebound sleep had higher mortality risk, especially those with severe sleep restriction. When people had rebound sleep after restriction, the mortality association was no longer statistically significant. So this is important because consistent sleep is still the goal, obviously. And this
Mhm.
doesn't really mean that we can get away with less sleep. But
Right.
the study does suggest that recovering sleep after short term restriction may matter more than what was originally thought. So
Yeah.
before you would say like there is no such thing as sleep debt, like this is not, it doesn't matter. You need to get your amount of sleep every single night. And now there's some studies saying, well, it's actually important that you catch up on that sleep.
Yeah.
And so this means people should not intentionally sleep less, but make it up later. But it does suggest when life disrupts sleep, recovery sleep may be protective. So that's something to consider. I mean, it's a pretty unique study. I think it came out a couple of days ago. So very
Yeah.
cool.
Published April 27th. Very cool. From the American College of Surgeons, optimizing exercise nutrition before surgery boosts patients' outcomes.
A new review in the Journal of the American College of Surgeons found that prehab programs, structured exercise, nutrition support, and other preparation before surgery improve patient outcomes across 23 randomized controlled trials involving more than 2,100 patients. So, some of the key details we're actually talking about here is prehab reduced post-operative complications by 48% overall, which is just
Wow.
insane, dude.
Yeah.
It shortened hospital stays by 11%. Exercise-based programs lowered complication risk by 55%. Nutrition-based programs
Damn.
shortened hospital stays by 14%. And these programs range from 5 days to 6 months, depending on the intervention. So this like completely reframes surgery prep. Like
Yeah.
instead of only focusing on recovery, like now we're saying, okay, we can actually prep before surgery and actually have a better outcome. And so this basically means that hospitals will increasingly focus on helping patients build strength, improve nutrition, and lower risk before they enter the operating room. But my question is like, I wonder how long. Like, let's say, okay, you're gonna get
Mhm.
surgery, and
Yeah.
you're not looking the best, like you probably should be in a little bit better shape. Do we
Yeah.
give them 8 weeks? Do we give them a month? At the point where it's like, how much time do you have? Obviously, there's gonna be factors,
Yeah.
right? But it's like also, let's say this surgery can wait and you have a better outcome of getting a solid program in. Do you prescribe them a 8 to 12 week program, dieting and strength and moving the body? I mean, it's really simple, just move the body, and that will prepare them for a better outcome. As a surgeon, I think it's worthwhile based on the data to do that, because if you can get higher execution rates where it's like, yes, I performed this well, there was no complications, then it's going to look better on you.
Yeah.
And you
And the numbers are
prescribing this,
massive.
yeah, exactly. And you prescribing this doesn't really cost anything extra, like in terms of like time, money. No, like you just prescribe
Mhm.
that for 8 to 12 weeks and they come back and then you get it done.
So this is just talking about surgery in general. I just want to make that
Yes, this is talking about surgery in general.
okay. Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Because at first I was thinking maybe it's a weight loss surgery, but
Nope.
yeah. Wow. Okay. But I wonder what the like underlying effects are.
What
It's
do you mean
like,
by that?
why does strength training and nutrition before the surgery improve these markers? Like it's
Well,
interesting.
I mean, we could do a deep dive on it, but
Yeah, we may have to.
I would say it's pretty known. Like if you're a healthy individual,
Hmm.
you're going to get a better outcome in surgeries.
That
And
makes sense.
the percentages are so high because unfortunately, there's a ton of people in America that are not healthy.
Yeah.
And when you just we've seen these little micro movements. Like if you would just move for 2 minutes extra a day, like you see, you know, major changes in overall, mortality risk. Like it lowers significantly.
Yeah.
And if you just prescribe someone 8 weeks of training, I mean, yeah, their markers are going to go way up because so much things improve in your body when you're moving the body, eating right. Therefore, your body's more robust to handle a surgery.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense actually.
Yeah.
Seems almost obvious when you put it that way.
Hmm.
Um, Lastly, our final headline is, can you outrun stress hormones with exercise? New clues from a clinical trial. Now, this was posted in Eureka Alert, and also peer-reviewed publication was posted in the Journal of Sport and Health Science. So researchers followed 130 adults aged 26 to 58 for 1 year. One group completed 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous aerobic activity per week, while the control group received general health information without changing activity levels. The exercise group showed a significant reduction in long term cortisol levels. So, this was published again in the Journal of Sports and Health Science. It was a randomized clinical trial, not just an observational study. And that's important because an observational study just kind of watches these people as they go through their daily lives rather than it being like a regimented program that they follow. Um, so the intervention lasted 1 full year. Research measured their fitness, their cortisol, stress, emotion, and brain related markers. And the study was NIH/NHLBI funded. Um, so, I mean, this gives stronger evidence as to why, like, you ever notice, like, with endurance athletes specifically, they're really chill.
Hmm.
Like they're just easygoing, nothing really bothers them too much, especially in
Hmm.
like you notice it in interviews. But it gives stronger evidence that exercise may not just make people feel less stressed, but it's actually concrete proof now that it may actually shift stress biology over time. Um, yeah, so before it was kind of like we operated off vibes, seeing whether, you know what I mean? Seeing whether like,
Vibes, dude.
oh, like aerobic athletes, like they just seemed like they were pretty chill. People who run, they seem pretty calm. Like, oh, it seems like, it may increase their stress resistance, but it's cool to see like we have actual data on it now that
Hmm.
shows, hey, it really does improve your stress resistance over time for the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like a great example because like this says moderate to vigorous aerobic activity, but think about like when you're on like this morning, the workout, the 4x4,
Yeah.
and like how many times in the 4 minutes do you want to quit? And you are being resistant to quitting.
Mhm.
And that is training a section in your brain to say, when things get hard, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah,
And you consistently do that over time. Your brain recognizes that your brain doesn't say, okay, I know not to quit on the assault bike. No, like your brain just says, whenever you want to quit, you're training that muscle to say no and you keep going. And I feel like it works the same way in like aerobic training. Like you just keep going and your body is already in a elevated cortisol level.
correct.
And it's like you just keep going. So in a way, like your body's like, okay, well, we're gonna operate this body at this cortisol, and we're just gonna be resistant to it over time.
Yeah, because it has to course correct and
Yeah,
maintain
the body is
homeostasis.
the body is incredible, and if you train it, it will improve many things.
Yeah, 100%. This moves us into our deep dive about David Sinclair, which, me and you have actually talked about this a while back.
Yeah,
This was back in January, but honestly, like I feel like a lot of people still don't really know about it, and it's still kind of a confusing area.
yeah.
Um, but basically, David Sinclair, he's a Harvard aging researcher best known for bringing longevity science into the mainstream. His work has moved through several major phases throughout his years, NAD boosters, biological age testing, but currently he's working on something that's called partial epigenetic reprogramming. And this is important because Sinclair is not just studying aging as wear and tear. He's arguing that aging may be partially caused by a loss of cellular information specifically. The loss of the epigenetic instructions that tells cells how to behave young and healthy. I mean, his current bet right now is that some of the loss of information can be recoverable. So, what is like epigenetic reprogramming, right? Like partial epigenetic reprogramming is the attempt to reset some of the cell's aging related gene control patterns without fully turning the cell back into a stem cell. And basically, your DNA is the hardware, and your epigenome is like the software telling the hardware what to do. And as we age, the DNA code may still be mostly there, but the software instructions kind of get a little bit, messy. And genes that should be quiet may be turned on. Genes that should stay active may get turned down as you age, and cells begin to lose their identity and function. Partial epigenetic reprogramming tries to resolve some of those useful instructions. The approach that Sinclair takes is using, it's called Yamanaka factors. There's three that he is using, and it's OCT4, SOX2, and KLF4. But usually, full Yamanaka reprogramming, which requires four of these Yamanaka factors, can turn mature cells into stem like cells, which are basically blank cells. And this can be pretty dangerous. Partial reprogramming tries to use a controlled version of that process in order to make the function of cells younger while still keeping them as part of the same type of cell. Um, and so, what he's currently doing is it's his company Life Biosciences. It's the company linked to his longevity work. It has moved its partial epigenetic reprogramming therapy ER100 into human clinical testing, and this is what me and you talked about back in January.
Hmm.
Um, the human trials were cleared in January, and it is allowing the company to begin human trials on the optic neuropathways. Phase one, which is happening as we speak, is designed to study safety and tolerability in people with optic nerve conditions, including glaucoma and naion, which naion is just a sudden painless vision loss. It's not a proven anti aging therapy yet, but it is the first inhuman safety trial focused on eye disease. And that kind of matters because the trial isn't trying to prove that humans can reverse whole body aging just yet. It's just testing whether the gene therapy can be delivered safely in a targeted disease context. And you kind of might be wondering, like, why the eye? Well, the eye is kind of a good place for him to start because it's contained than rather trying to treat like the whole entire body. It's a lot easier to focus on one aspect of the body to improve. And his idea is basically to start there. And then as he can prove more and more that these longevity therapies are working, he can start moving into other tissues and reversing these other tissue cells back into younger, healthy looking cells, which in turn is reversing the age of your cell.
Hmm.
So you might like kind of like why this is important. It's because this could literally entirely change how we think about aging. I mean, we may be seeing the next superhumans if this stuff like really gets approved and is really actually safe for us to use
On top of peptides.
on top of peptides too.
Hmm.
So like, I mean, the era we're entering right now is insane,
It's
and
exciting. Yeah.
it's really is exciting. But basically, like, think of it this way: most medicines kind of treat diseases after they appear. But partial reprograming kind of asks a deeper question like, can we restore the function of those aged cells before the damage becomes permanent? It's so you're seeing like we can completely prevent these, uh, diseases and sicknesses like diabetes, Alzheimer's, heart disease, vision, completely wipe them off the map if these things, again, are safe and correlate to human testing. But this is why it's so exciting too, though. It's not just treating one pathway, it's trying to reset the cell's operating system completely. Um, it's basically a bold version of the theory that is called information theory of aging, which may be driven partly by the loss of epigenetic information. And if that information can be restored, some features of aging can be reversed. But that kind of moves you into like, what are some of the risks of this therapy? Because like I said, like he's using three of the Yamanaka factors. And then if you use four, it turns the cells into a stem cell, which is a blank cell. Well, what happens whatever if he were to accidentally turn your eye cell into a stem cell? Well, I mean, your cell would just completely lose its identity. It wouldn't know that it's an eye cell. So like you see like tumor formations, immune reaction to like the viral vector, wrong dose, wrong duration, effects that work in mice but won't translate to humans. It's just like there are some things that can happen, but if it really does work, some crazy stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
For
I
I mean,
mean,
as a society too, because like what does that mean for like let's say retirement? If you can reverse your aging and your body is constantly young, what is retirement going to be? Is it even going to be a thing anymore?
now, Tyler, I'm gonna tell you something real quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Do not give anybody an idea to make us work longer.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So, yeah, absolutely not.
I
I
mean,
don't. If
I don't
you
want
know what,
that
I'll be
either.
thankful because I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna be young and be able to live my life.
I don't
I
want that
ain't
either. But
working
what
any.
if it?
I ain't working any longer, man.
But what if it does get integrated like into society? Like this is like your kids, boom,
Well, here's
instantly.
here's what I hope actually happens. I hope that AI makes things a lot more automatic
Mm,
and everyone shifts over to foundational living because there's no need to rely on, you know, everything else. Like you don't have to manually put in things with the software and the phones.
mhm.
And then work becomes you become pretty much useless at work because AI does everything for you. So then they say, well, we're just gonna clear up the employee area, and we're just gonna pay you guys a universal salary. I mean,
Yeah,
some people may not agree with it, but I think this would be great because, and then
yeah,
everyone leans into creativity and foundational living, and then the entire world changes. And then
yeah,
you can walk around places and you have this beautiful architecture because everyone spent time on it and they're not always chasing money. If you look at all of the buildings and everything how it works now, it's all made to one be built as fast as possible and to be as compact as possible to make as much money.
mhm.
And we can when we remove money out of the equation, I believe we can get into a much more foundational and creative way of life.
I agree too. And think about it this way: now add this longevity therapy on top of it,
Yeah.
and add peptides on top of it. Not only are you able to pursue your passions because AI is now taking over, but you then can pursue your passions for even longer in a healthy state of body. Like you're just constantly operating on a high level and pursuing your passions. I mean, that sounds so fun.
Yeah, it's great.
Does it not? I
It's a
mean,
great possibility.
so I really do hope he does see some positive outcomes with these trials
Absolutely.
for sure. And that kind of concludes the deep dive. I know that was quite a bit. So
That was good
hope
information.
yeah, hopefully you guys were able to take bits and pieces of that and understand what is going on in that field. But finally we'll move to our athletes and races portion of the show. Matt Johnson actually posted on Instagram a little teaser here. He's planning on doing 7 Ironman distance triathlons for 7 days.
Insane.
That's insane. He
He just
says
gets
it's,
bored and he's like, I'm gonna do this.
dude, yeah, I mean, I mean, you got to think of cool ideas, you know? It's just like, what's his name? Who wanted to do
William
20,
Gooch.
William Gooch, who wanted to do 20 marathons in 20 days or something like
Yep.
that. So, I mean, I'd love to see this stuff though, because it's really cool if it does follow through.
Dude, 7 in so a freaking Iron Man per day.
Yes. I think
Gosh.
how much does that add up to? It was like 900 something miles, right?
982
Yes.
miles
Yes,
or
982
984.
miles. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about 16.8 miles of swimming, 784 miles of biking. 784 miles of biking?
That's
That's
insane, dude.
insane. And then 184 miles of running.
That's cake. When you put it that way, that's super easy. No, like
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
insane
Yeah,
because
yeah.
even when you're like, okay, let's just break it down and like maybe you'll look at it and say, that's actually not too bad. No,
Yeah.
that looks like hell.
It it sounds like hell.
The biking dude is going to be insane.
Yeah. I just I mean hopefully he does follow through with it. Um
He will. He definitely will.
that's true. He's a pretty
Yeah.
like straight arrow guy and it's going to be cool to watch. I'm curious how it's going to affect him cuz I mean 984 miles, bro. I mean how I can't even imagine. It's probably longer than the length of the United States.
Yeah, I have no idea, but that
Yeah,
it's going to be insane.
100%. Um next I kind of just wanted to touch on we had Hyrox Warsaw major probably like I think it was about last month. It was one of the biggest races of the season because both the men's and women's Elite 15 world records were completely shattered, actually. And this kind of ties in with last episode where we were kind of talking about how the times are getting a lot faster. Well, this was the race we were trying to talk about,
Hmm.
and so what we saw was like Joanna won with 54 minutes and 25 seconds, which set a new world record in the women's pro division, which the record before was about, I believe it was 55 minutes. And I believe it was also set by Joanna. She's a beast in the High Rocks world. I'm not gonna lie. But you also had Lauren Weeks who had a time of 54:54, and Alyssa McKinley with a time of 55:56. But then what really like was huge during that race was the Elite 15 men because Alexander Rokovich has broken the 52-hour mark. I mean, he's the
52
first one,
minute.
or sorry, 52-minute mark.
Yeah.
And it's insane because no one's broken it yet. And it's just like the marathon. Like everybody's been chasing that 52-minute mark, and we finally saw it from Alexander.
It's
So,
funny because when we first joined the Hyrox world, like what was this, early 23?
yeah, it was 2023.
I think so.
Yeah.
And we found Hunter McIntyre and he broke the world record, or he held the world record with 53 minutes and 42 seconds, I think.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And he said it so early on, and like people have just been chasing it, chasing. And
Hmm.
now we're getting to sub 52, which if you've never done a Hyrox is insane.
That's, yeah.
Because
I,
there's
c-
so many factors you have to understand, like pacing the machines, pacing your sleds, because you can't go all out on one area, or else you're going to be gassed and can't perform in the other sections.
Exactly.
And like it's like consistently throttling back enough to where you don't build up too much lactate, and that way you can still perform really well at a high threshold, but like
Hmm.
staying just below maximal the
Yeah.
whole entire race,
Yeah.
or else you will completely like throw your goal out the window. It won't work
Hmm.
if you screw up.
Yeah. And that's kind of, yeah. And I think a lot of people experience that in these high rocks races. Like in the Houston one, that was my first ever. I decided to do men's pro, and I came out the gate way too fast. I hit the ski erg, and I was moving way too quick. Came off the ski erg, was already tired, and it's the first station, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta go to do sleds next. Did sleds, also pushed way too hard because I'm like, well, might as well.
Yeah.
And then came out of the sleds absolutely gassed, and I started cramping, and my time ended up being like an hour and 20. Like,
Yeah. Which is still
so
great, but it's like, yeah, it's a tough
it
one.
wasn't what I wanted, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's tough. And finally, that kind of ties in with our last athletes and races topic, which is, if you guys didn't see, we posted on the Colosseum Instagram story, but Kenyan Sebastian Saw shattered the 2-hour marathon mark to win London.
Yeah, it's funny because we were just talking about this on the show, on the podcast show we recorded.
I know.
And then the news came out that they broke a world record, and it was insane. It was great timing. I'm sure that you've seen some clips that we've spoke about that as well. But
Right.
basically, and he broke the record, the marathon record at
Hmm.
1:59:30 in London. The previous record was 2 hours and 35 minutes set by Kelvin Kiptum in 2023.
Hmm.
So um, he didn't just break the record, he crushed it, cutting more than a full minute off the previous mark. And that's exactly what we were talking about last episode. I was like, if he's going to
Yes.
improve, it's going to be a couple seconds, 10 seconds, 20. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, shaving off a full minute is extremely impressive. But even more
Yes.
importantly, what we really want to talk about. So he was running in Adidas racing shoes, which their sales probably went through the roof. His
100%.
fueling plan included around 115 grams of carbs per hour, taking fuel every 5K, which is around 3.1 miles. And
Hmm.
so what that means, like we were saying in the show last week, people are training their gut to uptake or intake up to 90 to 120 grams of carbs per hour because it's
Yeah.
solely performance based. And when I say training the gut, is like you will not be able to take in that many carbs while you're running and moving without training your gut to understand like this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And so this is also what you're seeing in like the elite Hyrox. They are taking so many carbs. It is unreal. And so let's talk about like the main angle is like the breakthrough was not just raw talent. Okay. It was
Hmm.
powered by the modern marathon performance stack.
Right.
Carbon plated super shoes. Yes. Ideal race conditions, precise pacing, and aggressive high carb fueling. And let's really focus on the high carb feeling. So fueling. So obviously the shoes are great. We know this. But super shoes clearly help running economy. We know this. Fueling has become a bigger weapon, stated by Jason Gray in the Wall Street Journal. He actually
Hmm.
just posted an article, I think it was like Friday, talking about this exact same thing.
Hmm.
So elite runners are now taking in much higher amounts of fast absorbing carbs during races, supported by gut training, so they can handle the intake without stomach issues. And some
Yeah.
of like the notable names that I've kind of pulled up, like especially in ultra running, it's extremely common for these people to do high carb, fueling. David Roche, he does 100 to 140 grams of carbs per hour, which is insane.
Dude, my
Courtney
stomach would
DeWalter,
be fricked up.
yeah, I know. It's like, dude, yeah, because you got to think like even if you're taking 3 gels, like, usually gels have, like, 20 to 40 grams, like, you won't be able to take that many gels. You'll have to mix in, like, a solid, you'll have to mix in a drink. It'll have
Yeah.
to be, like, multiple different pathways. And then, Courtney Dauwalter, she's like a legend. She doesn't really specify what she takes, but she is very flexible, and she also practices ultra fueling.
Hmm.
Chris Jones, he's 90 grams to 110 grams an hour, which is a trail specific runner. And then Elliot Kipoji helped popularize hydrogen or hydrogel based marathon fueling with Martin. His marathon nutrition reportedly moved toward 100 grams an hour, especially around the sub 2 hour project and elite marathon attempts. So, if they want to perform at elite levels, they're shifting to a higher carb intake.
Yeah, you have to when you're exerting even more energy. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's something too. Is a Louis Chipchoge, Chipchoge, I believe.
Kip
He
Kipchoge.
Kipchoge.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, he did break the 2 hour mark a long time ago, but the reason why it was never even official was because it was simulated conditions. Like Nike took him in and they went through a whole fueling strategy. Like they had a course set. It was all that. It was just the perfect setup to
Mhm.
run a sub 2 hour.
Yeah.
But this is big because you know this wasn't planned. There was no setup. This was the London Marathon, and
Yeah.
he shattered the 2 hour mark, which is, I mean, they've been trying to do it for decades. You know,
Yeah, and
and
really we put
it's
in the Wall Street Journal post just to show that we know what we're talking about, and we caught this a week early. And just saying.
right. Yeah,
Just
just
saying.
saying.
And so we just kind of wanted to reflect on that, what he said. This guy gets paid to write that article, and I'm just over here talking about it before it even happened. So
Right.
just want to let you guys know that hey, we know what's going on in this
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. We keep you guys updated. We're
Mm-hmm.
here with the
Mm-hmm.
latest information. So, but that concludes episode 2. Super excited for more of these episodes. We're going to be consistent every week, bringing you more health and wellness content.
Yeah. Um, thanks for tuning in, first of all. It's like
Yeah.
if you've made it this far, this is awesome. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy the show. Leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube, follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple. Again, we release every single Wednesday at 7 a.m. And we also drop a weekly newsletter on Wednesday as well. You can
Yes,
also
sir.
follow all the social accounts at Colosseum underscore media. And we're going to keep doing this thing. We really do appreciate the support. And also, don't forget to get some sunlight today. Walk around, get your steps in,
Mm,
and just enjoy life and have a great conversation with somebody today. That's all we got for
100%.
today.
Wise
Peace out,
words.
everybody.
Peace.